Welcome to Stay Paid, your number one sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals, keep more clients, and build the life of freedom you're working towards. But that can only happen if you're willing to take action today. My name is Josh Dyke, Chief Marketing Officer here at Reminder Media, joined as always by the hostess.
Hostess with the mostest? Is that what you're saying? You just
called
me a hostess? What the heck, bro?
Our host with the most, Luke Acree, president of Reminder Media, and joining the podcast, a three-peat. So I had to check this out because I had to look to see how many other people have come on the podcast 3 times. Only 3 other people.
Oh, wow.
Ed Stulak, Sean Carpenter, Garrett Maroon. And now we have joining us back the one and only Jimmy Burgess.
You're in good company, man.
I don't even know if we need, an intro for you at this point. But
yeah, that's funny. I was just speaking at an event. It was a Zoom event yesterday with Ed. So that's funny. His timing here. Jimmy, man, I'm excited to have you back. You are just I call you a genius in the industry. I mean, you put out incredible thought leadership for agents. If they haven't checked out you on your YouTube channel, you're featured on Inman all the time. Guys, stop right now. Go check that out. Subscribe to Jimmy's channel. Check him out. But I want to talk to you about 2026. And, it's everybody loves list. We'll call it the top 3. It doesn't have to be exactly 3. But right. I would love to pick your brain. We're heading into 2026. All this changed. The market does seem to be stabilizing at least. People are like, this is the new normal. I've got to learn to thrive in this. What are you seeing as some of the top strategies to grow in 2026? What's your number one? And we'll go through your list.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a little bit of specific strategy, if that's okay with you guys.
Yep.
I'll do that, and then I'll kind of do some of its mindset. And the way I've kind of framed everything for everybody that I'm talking to right now is we only can do so many things. I loved the rule of 5 that John Maxwell put out years ago, where it was like, hey, listen, if you had a tree, if you're going to hit it 5 times, with the axe, put the axe down, you hit it the next day 5 times, sooner or later the tree's going to go down. Well, I want to just kind of focus today on 3 things that if you hit these consistently, I'll promise you the tree's going to come down for you. It's not, look, some people have bigger trees. It may take a little longer for that goal, but some will have smaller. But either way, it's not a matter of if, it's just when that tree falls. And so I kind of want to look at this, if you guys don't mind, of kind of like looking at where you've been, where you are, and where you're headed, if that's okay from a strategy standpoint. So a little bit different here. From that standpoint, listen, obviously, whatever area you're focusing in, you can listen to the podcast here, and you're going to get a number of ideas from different people. I'm going to give you some specific ones that I see for 2026. I'll start with number one. Number one is I want to look back at kind of where we've been and how do we build on what we've had in the past. And that is a framing that I had. Great agent in Raleigh, North Carolina, Heidi Harris, first said this to me. And when she said it, I said, ooh, that's too good. I'm taking that. I'll give you credit. But what she decided to do is to stop buying leads and start buying lunch. And basically what that means is that instead of spending money trying to build new relationships, let's look back at the people that have been influential in our past successes, our past clients, people that have referred business to us, people that we are active in the community with. And what she decided to do this is a couple of years ago, is she just stopped completely buying leads and she started going to lunch. And she decided she was going to do 2 to 3 lunches per week. She would schedule these out a few weeks in advance. All she was doing was just calling and say, hey, it's been a little while. I'd love to catch up and hear how the family's doing, how you're doing. Do you have time for lunch or coffee in the next couple of weeks? She schedules these out. She doesn't even bring business up. She checks on their family. She asks how they're doing, if they have kids, what's going on. She really takes, and instead of just trying to go wide with making more leads out there, she's going deeper in the relationship she has, and that has ended up taking her wide. The year after she did this, her business increased 70%. And here's the thing is, I will promise you, if you go to lunch with that many people as she did, it was in the neighborhood of nearly, I think it was about 80 people she had lunch with that year, or coffee that she had specific meetings with. It literally changed her business, because now all of a sudden people, she was top of mind, number one, but secondly, she was asking the question herself. She'd say, whoever they were, hey, what is it I can do to help support whatever it is they did? If they were in business, what can I do to support your business? She would lead with, hey, what is it I can do to support your kids' T-ball team that you're coaching, or whatever it was? Hey, we're both in PTA together. What do you think I can do to really support PTA? She would ask those questions. And look, it's the law of reciprocity. When you ask those types of questions, guess what happens? They send up asking that back to you. And so when they did, she was just ready. She just said, hey, As always, I just appreciate, obviously, the way that you trusted me with your business, or that you trusted me with that referral you sent, or whatever the case was. Just keep me in mind. As you hear people that maybe are considering buying or selling, just keep me in mind. And obviously, if you can send them my way, that would be the best thing you could do for me. She said that was all it was. And she said it was amazing how it just began almost immediately, where she would have, I want to send a text to the two of you. I've got my coworker who was talking about this, or this person just got transferred into our offices and moving here in 2 months. All of a sudden, she just, by focusing in on the relationships, and look, you can't just fake this. You have to be somebody that truly cares about the people and really getting to know those people. But when you do that, it will absolutely transform your business in 2026.
Whew. Yeah, so good, man. And what I love about it too is that agents don't call their sphere because they don't want to be perceived as salesy.
Correct.
And so it's like, I know I got to call my sphere and ask for referrals, but I don't do it because I don't really have a real reason. Taking them to lunch or coffee is a non-salesy way to just call your sphere. This is why client events are so powerful as a strategy, because it's not about the event, it's about the invite. And you hope they come to the event. You truly do want them there, but it's really about the invite. I'm also reminded of when you said that, it triggered for me Taylor Hunt. I do remember Taylor down in
I love Taylor.
Carolina as well.
Yeah.
She adds a little strategy that we've tried to implement recently within Acre Brothers Realty, which is sharing our goal to our sphere. And we have found it, time will tell, test me in a year on this, but she basically said that it brings people into being part of what you're building, not just on the sidelines. So if you when you're talking to him, catching up with the lunch, buy lunch instead of leads, I freaking love that. I'm going to steal that now too.
Yeah.
Heidi, you said it was Heidi. I got to I'm going to start crediting Jimmy, and now it becomes a Jimmy thing.
Yeah. I'm telling you, she's a great guest too. I mean, she is phenomenal. She and I.
Yeah. You'll have to introduce us, because when you tell people, hey, Josh, I just appreciate, you keep me in mind. Actually, my goal is to help 50 families this year. If I can, I love, working with you. And if I could work with more Joshes, you might think I'm crazy, but it would be awesome to just keep me in mind. Now you're bringing them into the fold even deeper on this. Be part of what I'm building, be part of my journey. And people love that. So I love that, man. Knocked it out of the park on number one. And I'm biased to Sphere because, that's what Reminder Media is all about. Is it's all about the Sphere.
What works.
All right. So let's go to number two. What's your number two?
So let's talk about in the present. What is it we can do right now to start generating some opportunities and some business right now? And look, there's two things here, and we're going to kind of bridge into this. But if you don't have a database currently, the biggest and best thing you could do in 2026 is build a database. Now, these are the people that you begin to, that maybe you meet. Maybe these are leads you've bought. Maybe these are people of your past. Whatever it is, building that database out will absolutely win and help you in 2026. But there's one specific strategy that I learned from our mutual friend, Sharon Srivatsa, who about the deal of the week. Now, listen, this is something that literally, if you go, BAM Media's doing this, they're teaching this. Jimmy Mack is teaching this. I'm trying to teach this. Everybody in the industry is understanding the value of sending out a deal of the week to your database. Now, I'm going to give you the fundamentals of this from that standpoint, because if you haven't done this, you're going to be amazed at what this will do for your business. This is taking one email, and you pick the day, whatever day it is, every single week. And basically the what you're doing here is you're going to have the subject line the same every week. It's going to be your area. So it'd be like 30A, Destin, Florida, deal of the week. And it's going to be that every single week. And that's going to go out. Now, here's the thing. And this is, Sharon tested hundreds of thousands of these. And so this is what he came up with is that what he found is that clean text, scannable, easy to read with a caption or a hook on the beginning that gets them to read the scan, the rest of it is where they really got them hooked into this thing. So the first thing he does is like, I've scanned the emails. I'm going to use this as an example. I've scanned the MLS, and this is the best deal I've found in Destin, Florida for, and then whatever it is, for an investment property, for a condo on the beach, for
love that
lowest price, whatever it is. Okay. And I would say do this where you're alternating this in your database to different groups, because data is everything. As you do this, you're going to find which ones your database responds to. Then it's going to have bullet point items in there. It'll have the price. It'll have some amenities, but it's 4 or 5. Same way that I write in Inman where it's scannable or it's lists. The reason I do that is because psychologically people are scanners. And so they were going to scan and they will catch something that that fits for them. And then what you want to make sure you do at the bottom of this is make it easy. Y'all remember how we do on social media, be like, hey, link in bio if you'd like more details or something. I mean, nobody's going to your bio to do that, So with this email, what it does is at the bottom, then you're going to have this. It's just like, if you'd like to see photos and full details of this unique opportunity, just reply back to this email and I'll send them your way. So what happens is now we've taken a cold, in some cases, database, and we can move them towards sold. Because now what we've got is we've got people that are raising their hand and saying, I'd like more information. This is a great way to reignite your database in a way where you're getting the people to get engaged. They're raising their hand and tell you that they're back in the market. And it creates conversations. So this is something on a consistent basis that you can do that will, if you do this consistently, and as you grow your database, this is going to have more and more opportunities that will just pop up for you on a weekly basis if you'll use this deal of the week strategy.
Ooh, it's a cool, I don't know if this, I'd have to see the email to see if it actually creates this shape, but people psychologically, when they're looking at a web page or an email or any design, they read in an F shape. So like the idea that first line is a little bit longer and then you run into the bullet point, like there's a lot of power just in your everyday, like as you're writing emails, as you're designing copy, to keep in mind from how people actually scan and read a page.
What I also love about it is the email, like if you get people to reply, it's going to help your email. Actually getting through more. So getting exactly your deliverability of your email. The other thing that it's like, as you're saying these strategies, it's triggering for me like other things that are I've seen work. And I think I learned this on the podcast, but it might be this guy, Ben, that taught it to me out in Australia. But it's essentially you look at your database, right? So build your database, send in the deal of the week. You look at your database, and one way to look at the deal of the week is through the lens of what's sold near the people in your database.
Right.
And you essentially go, Josh is at 1100 First Avenue, and I see that, right up the road from Josh, this deal happened. And I send Josh a text or a specific email based upon, hey, Josh, don't know if you saw right up the road from you, this home sold for $400,000. What did you think of that price? And that will engage that sphere into conversation. This happened to me from Brian. Brian sent me this text and I actually engaged. He goes, what do you think of the price? What do you think this would mean your house is worth? And it got me into conversation. But it's another way to think about, hey, using what's happening on the MLS as kind of your touch point of the week. And one way is go, hey, this is the best deal of the week, send it out to your whole database. And then specifically, like Sean Carpenter, I think is who it was. He looks at the MLS and he'll go through and for education purposes, look what sold and what came off the market. Then he goes back a second time through with his database in mind and goes,
who would be
who should I reach out to because this deal has happened, because this listing has expired, or because this came onto the market, just to educate those people. That's a little bit more intense. So this is where agents fall down, is like Sean is like a freaking god at
he does his 4-H.
Yeah, every day he does this morning. Discipline of 4-H where he's connecting with people. It's a really great thing. But most people don't have that discipline. That's where they fall down. That's why I love the deal of the week, because you can hit your whole database. It's one email. It's not that hard. Maybe we could automate it for people now that we have the MLS connections.
Yeah, I will tell you, you probably can. We've even done this where and look, and think of it from a unique standpoint. What is it that's going to stand out? This is the listing that was reduced by the highest percentage in this past week, showing us that there might be a motivated seller. Would you like the details? Or, hey, this is the largest house on 30A currently for sale. This is the smallest house on 30A currently for sale. This is the lowest priced house. This is the highest price. I mean, you can vary these things in a way that is interesting, that keeps your database engaged, and actually gives you the opportunity to kind of work through some of those. And it's also kind of neat to see this. I mean, Luke, we didn't even talk about this, but you're teeing me up for looking to see what to do on that third strategy from a standpoint of actually thinking about what's actually happening in the marketplace around. And there still is the song, Return to the Mac. Listen, sometimes strategies that have worked in the past, they continue to work, and then they almost have like a rebirth. And we're seeing this with the third strategy. I kind of want to roll right on into, if that's okay with you guys. The third strategy is the unsolicited video CMA. Look, I started doing this personally. The first person I know to do this was me. I did this on my own business before I shifted into leadership and training. And what I did is this is where I'm going to record my screen. The owner of the home has not asked for this, so it's unsolicited, okay? So it's a surprise. It's almost like we want to delight and surprise, and we want to give our opportunities for people to think of us a little bit uniquely in a unique way. This is a way to do that. So what I did is I decided in the fourth quarter of that last year that I was doing this, was 2018 actually. So man, this thing is coming up on 7, 8 years. This is I did this. But the strategy is working and is almost seen a resurgence in the last few months. We've done this in California. We've done it in Ohio. We've done it in New York. We've done it in Connecticut. We've done it obviously in Florida, and it works every single place. And basically what it is that we're going to give them an updated idea of their value, a CMA, that we're going to record our screen where it's very personal, and we're going to send this out to this group of people. Now, I will tell you, here's the background of this when I did it. That fourth quarter, I decided every single day that I was actually going to work. I was going to do one of these. So I started by making a list of all the homeowners I knew, people that I'd sold to that were buyers in the past, people that were in my sphere of influence that had been influential people that had sent me referrals that owned a home, people that were in my farm neighborhood that I'd talked to about their house. Anyone I had, I made this long list. Now listen, you may only have a few. That's fine. One's better than none. But I did it. And then, so during those days, I didn't work every day, but during that roughly 90 days in that fourth quarter, I worked 72 days. I did an unsolicited video CMA every single day. It took me about 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this. But the results of this were that by the time May hit, which May was kind of when I made the transition, that I could track directly from those 72 CMAs, I generated $11+ million worth of listings.
Get out of here.
When we sold 9.1, because not everything's sold. This is pre-pandemic, $9.1 million worth of sold. When I figured it out, basing on a roughly half hour per day to put this CMA together, record it, email it out, it was about a 30-minute per day activity. First thing in the morning, I tried to do them everything I could first thing in the morning. $3,600 per hour activity. And so listen, and here's the stupid thing, because people will say this to me. You got to understand, that was back in 2018 when I did that. We're still seeing this. Even if yours was half price of my average sales price, but our average sales price back then was around $750. Even if it's $375 and you're in middle America, this is in the Midwest in a lower price point. If it's half price, that's still $1,800 an hour activity. I don't know anything you can do that does this. And what this does is this bridges past relationships, current opportunities, and then here's the kicker on this thing, and then I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this, okay? I did this specifically in the email. I would say, hey, listen, if you're ever curious what your value was in November of 2025, just go to your email and just search your address or valuation update, because the subject line was the same in every instance. It was their address, valuation update. You come back in here, you can see exactly where your value was. I stopped doing this after those 72 because I shifted out of sales. Little thing happens called the pandemic about 18 months later. All of a sudden, I'd used BombBomb for my recording, which BombBomb tells me on my screen when people are replaying these things that I've sent to them. All of a sudden, these things start popping up. And I had not made a single outbound call to that group since that time period that I did those. I listed another $5 million 18 months later. So this thing has a tail marketing wise that is crazy good, okay? 3 keys to this, okay? Number one is, as I mentioned that to you, that you want to have the subject line the same every single time. I had 3 tabs already pulled up. You can get as detailed as you want. My videos were about 3 to 5 minutes. I had a tab pulled up where I started with Google Earth. You came in from outer space on top of the house, okay? What it does when it comes in from outer space is it captures their attention. We had an open rate over 85% on the first emails to all these people because it was specifically addressed with their address valuation update. And then when they saw it, I'm going to tell you right now, somebody sends something to me that goes in from outer space and lands on top of my house with the GIF part of like BombBomb does. I'm pressing play on that thing. They did. And so literally that was how we started. The second tab I had pulled up were the comps. I used the simple comps that were in the MLS. A few of the recent sales in the neighborhood, whatever might be pending that's similar, and what is available that's for sale in the neighborhood now. I literally, just like I was sitting at the kitchen table, I had that tab pulled up. The last one was an estimated seller net sheet because people want to know their numbers. And I would disclose it out with, hey, this is, if you've got a mortgage, this is an estimation, all the things that we would do, but it gives them a rough idea of what the typical closing costs were for a seller in our market versus what the sales price would be. So here's how this rolled out, okay? I send the email. The recording goes this way. I start with Google Earth. Literally as it's zooming in, hey, Luke and Josh, it's Jimmy. It's been a little while. I am finding that most of the people that I have talked to really want to know what's going on with this market and what's their value. So in the next 3 to 5 minutes, I'm going to walk you through, and I have taken the time to go through and look at all of the comparable sales, what's for sale now, and also those that are under contract to see, kind of give you an idea of where your value is. So I'm going to flip over now to show you these. I flip over to the MLS. I've already got it pulled up. I'm literally just reading this like I'm sitting there walking through it with them. Hey, here's 3 or 4 of the sales that are recently there. This is the ones that are there. These are the ones that are for sale. This is that. I just go through a typical CMA if I were sitting with the people. And then during this, I will say, so what I want to do is I want to give you a range of value because you may have had some deferred maintenance since I haven't been there in a little while, or maybe you've done some improvements. And let me just say this, I'm going to give you a range. But if you're curious about what your house would sell for, take me 5 minutes. I walk through the house, I tell you exactly what it'll sell for. And then I just kept moving. Didn't even mention anything. And then again, as I'm closing this out, after I give them those numbers, I would simply say, hey, just as a reminder, if you're ever curious of where your value was in November 2025, like I mentioned earlier, all you got to do is come back into your email and search your address or valuation update, and it'll all be there. Look, I hope this is helpful. I'm here if I can ever help you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. That was what I would send out. Dude, I never mentioned, do you want to sell? Do you want to list? Great time in the market. I just gave them the information and let them make the best decision for them. And because it was non-salesy, because it was unexpected, because obviously when you do, I'll tell you right now, if you do 72, odds, we know that on average, 8% of our database turns over every single year. So if that's the case, if I'm sitting at the 72, odds are immediately I'm going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 opportunities in the next 6 months. And sometimes it pops depending on the market where it happens. And I believe we're heading into one of those times where it actually accelerates at a higher percentage. So to me, that's a timely opportunity right now to really step up, provide value in a unique way that makes you stand out, that's unexpected, and keeps you top of mind as well.
Yeah. That's amazing. For everybody who's listening, what should they expect? Like, did you call through everyone that's opening them? Are you waiting for them to reach out for, like, what should people expect activity wise after that?
Josh, this was the thing. I liked BombBomb because it could tell me the people that played it. And if they didn't play it, which was only about 15% that didn't play the video that came through, I would text them back and, hey, man, I'm trying to be a better, man, but I would just text back and say, hey, listen, I sent this yesterday. I spent about 30 minutes. I want to make sure that I sent you the right link. I've double checked this one. Here's the link in case you didn't get a chance or I sent the wrong thing to you. Little white lie. Sorry about that. But literally, the open rates went through the roof once I did that on the follow-up. The other thing was, Josh, when we were talking about this is, look, I could see the person who literally I would send this to, and it would be watched. That video would be watched 7 times. I knew they were sharing it with their spouse. I knew they were going back and looking at it again. So literally what I did is I prioritized the ones that were actually looking at it multiple times. And I would just call them back. And the follow-up call was just simply this. Hey, it's Jimmy. Listen, I sent this to you yesterday. I spent a little time going through this. Just curious if you got a chance to take a look at it. I know they did. And then literally once they went into that, I'd say, hey, listen, I just wanted to make sure you got it. See if you have any questions. And then it just led to the conversations that just did that. And again,
so good.
18 months later, y'all, I got 5 million additional listed directly from something I had done 18 months before. Where this really compounds is if people have told you, hey, I'm probably going to sell in the next couple of years, doing this once a quarter, you are absolutely going to put those listings on lock. I mean, you can put them in your database. Those are ones you're going to have this year if you'll take the time to invest that time to give them a little extra value as well.
Yeah, and I love that line because we have people call in and sometimes ask that same question, which is, I'm sending emails, I'm seeing who's engaging with them. How do I, seeing people that are opening, how do I actually engage with them without being creepy? And you just gave them the perfect line right there. And I love the addition of, I spent a little bit of time on it. Yeah. It makes it go, oh, I need to check this out. I need to reply.
It adds value. Yeah. It adds immediate value to it, which is so good. Yeah, I love that, man. That's freaking gold. I mean, in 2026, if people do that, now the common theme amongst all of them is it's going to take discipline, But everything good in life is usually takes discipline and is hard work, but it's going to take discipline to actually function on that. So I got one last question for you as we wrap up, right? So you made the switch back to being head coach, Berkshire Hathaway. You got to tell the audience why the head coaching, why come back and do it, just so everybody knows. Because I think our last combo, we were talking about your recent shift. So I want to follow up with you and go, hey, man, now you're leading the whole thing coaching-wise. So what's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, first off, if somebody offers you your dream job, take it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. I mean, I think
that's a good answer.
Our last conversation, and I think y'all had an episode a few episodes ago with Chris Kelly. Guy. I mean, he's CEO for HomeServices, president of HomeServices.
He's awesome.
Like, he's incredible. And literally, even after I had left, he and I were still tight. We were still walking a couple times a week, and I was bouncing ideas off of him, and he was bouncing ideas off of me. And first off, it's a great lesson if you're a leader and someone is deciding to take a sabbatical, I guess you could say is what I call it. But I mean, you're having a little bit of time where you're maybe thinking that something's better for you and your family. Never burn those bridges. I mean, and you never know what opportunities come about. And so when I got offered the opportunity, look, man, I'm at an age where I've been doing this 31 years, which is crazy to me. I mean, this is literally like,
what are you, like 35 years old?
Yeah, come on, man. I started when I was 22. And so, get you an idea. I was 23, 24. Yeah, I'm 55 now. So, man, have I been doing this 32 years? I have been doing this 32 years. This is my 32nd year coming up. So, but literally, like, I sold for 25 years. And man, I'm going to tell you, I'm a salesman at heart. I love negotiation. I love marketing. I loved the process of growing a business. And when I got the opportunity to kind of shift into that, I really got a chance to basically take 25 years of making mistakes. And I began to start being able to help agents maybe miss some of those mistakes I made, or maybe accelerate something that took me 3 years to figure out to 3 months for them. And so that was my passion. And so as this opportunity came available, and basically, Chris's vision is to make sure that as an industry, we are helping agents and preparing them to do more, which is exactly what my life mission is. It just was it was a no-brainer. And, and look, this is the thing too. I think sometimes you need to get away from people to know how much you appreciate them. And from that standpoint, it is something that I truly do value. And now for me, it's about legacy. It's about how many people can I help? And man, you know what? I haven't said this. I don't know that I've told many people this, but I had set personally a personal goal 7 years ago when I got out of real estate. And I had basically said that I wanted to somehow figure a way out. This is literally when I just first started the YouTube channel, and it took me 14 months to get 100 subscribers, and 72 videos. I made a personal on a goal sheet that I wrote. I mean, I got to find this thing because I got all of them, where I wrote, I want to help and affect 1 million agents do at least one more deal in their career as a legacy. I had no idea how I was going to do that. This is before I was I'd never written for Inman. I'd never done a video, none of that. I was just selling. And when you have somebody like Chris Kelly come and you have the opportunity, and look, I know all the leaders from HomeServices. I know all the leaders from the franchisees at Berkshire Hathaway. Those are my friends, And so from that standpoint, now I can see the pathway that I can absolutely affect and help those agents do more business, because I've made most of the mistakes. I'm learning from that. And as we were talking before we even got started, I mean, about the obsession that the three of us have with finding ways to help agents do more business. Man, I ain't set an alarm since I've been back, brother. I mean, I wake up excited every single morning, to be able to do
That's it right there, man. Yeah. Doing what you love to do, waking up excited. Doesn't mean it's not hard, but waking up excited and then leaving an impact, because that's where true fulfillment, it comes from ultimately is, a life of service, as they say, because it gives you a life of significance. I wanted to ask you, just because I had a feeling what it was, and you had shared, the whole Chris thing with me on a call that we were on, a couple of weeks ago or whatever it was. But Chris is amazing. It shows you also, right, what a great recruiter, man. That guy knew. He's like, I got to go get the best, man. And that's what great leaders do. Because you're the real deal, Jimmy. I mean, the stuff you put out is phenomenal. I've learned so much from you over the years. Like, you are one of my main guys that I go to. I've shared that before in the podcast of like, okay, I need to learn about this, or I need to hear what's going on in the industry, what people are thinking. I'm pulling up your videos and watching them. So I just appreciate all the work you put in to your content and your willingness to share. the content, because not everybody's willing to share, and you're willing to share. So I just appreciate you coming on. This is amazing. I cannot tell people enough. You got to execute, though. You got to execute these 3 strategies if you want to change your 2026. It's just amazing.
Jimmy, thank you so much for coming on. Before we close out here, let people know how they can connect with you and follow you.
Yeah, YouTube's the best place. Obviously, there's now over 700 videos out there that we've been doing. And also Instagram is probably best. And you can get a hold of me, DMing me there. And just appreciate you guys. Listen, I know what it takes to do what you guys do, to find good guests, to find content that you know is going to give value to agents, and then to actually execute on it, and then have the back end of editing and distribution. So thanks to you guys for all that you've done. I've learned so much through the podcast. I'm a regular listener. And so just thank you for you guys. As a matter of fact, listen, I think I mentioned this to you guys. Once this is out, you're going to see, I literally will have an Inman article coming out naming this podcast as one of the 9 that agents absolutely need to listen to in 2026. So one thing
Let's go.
Do in 2026 is lean in and watch this podcast, listen to this podcast, and you're going to get the ideas you need to move forward.
Awesome.
Editing team, i.e. Josh and Luke, clip it up.
Yeah, clip that.
Promote that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Brother.
We're going to include all those links there in the show notes, but definitely go check out Jimmy's YouTube channel. Over 36,000 subscribers, 100,000 monthly views. So
it's gold content. It really is.
And make sure you're subscribed there. You can get those links in the show notes of this episode, as well as over at staypaidpodcast.com. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to share your support, head on over to YouTube, join Reminder Media's channel, subscribe that, check out this video, give it a thumbs up, and share this episode with somebody that you know. And I want to do a little bit of a teaser here. We're hoping to get Jimmy back on. As everyone who listens, we have live Q&A call-in shows.
Yeah, you guys want to talk to Jimmy.
Want to get a question answered live, go to remindermedia.com/ask, send your question there, include in your question there, this one's for Jimmy, and we will make sure to get you scheduled here for the show. For this episode of Stay Paid, I am Josh Dyke.
I am Luke Acree. Guys, this whole episode was literally action items for you. So rewind the whole episode and go do these top 3 things. But I absolutely love the buy lunches instead of leads. Invest in your sphere. That is where it's at. It's like success leaves clues. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to execute. And the difference between top producers and mediocre producers is top producers will hear this and they will go execute. Mediocre producers will hear this and it will make them feel good for a second, and then they'll go back to doing nothing. Do not be a mediocre producer. Take action on that today.